Morning. Welcome to Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. It's your responsibility to do your own due diligence. Happy Taco Tuesday. Word of the day is Galère, a group or coterie. Members of the Galère were easily recognizable by their matching outfits. Let's go to our heat map, S&P 500 heat map. Tech is bouncing. We're in the midst of earnings season. So Tesla reports their earnings after hours. Microsoft, NVIDIA, all the semiconductors are up today. Amazon, Tesla is up about 4% in anticipation of their earnings. And energy is down. Utilities are up, and we've got a mixed bag in the financial picture. So let's go to our charts. This is a chart of the bond yields pulling back a little bit, off about 0.5% on the 10-year. Take a look at the 20-year. 20-year is up 0.09%. I'll take a look at the VIX. Pause right second as a here's the VIX. The VIX is falling off almost 3%, falls to 1447. S&P 500 is up slightly, up marginally. The equal weight on the S&P 500 is pretty flat. NASDAQ is pretty flat as well. The equal weight IWM, small capitalization stocks are up. Our ETF of the day was a triple hedge, and it's up nearly 4%. The Dow Jones, pretty flat. Here is our IPO of the day, bounces into the pivot areas, pulling back a little bit from where it was, still up 3.28%. And it is not Shopify. We'll get back to our stock of the day later, but let us take a look at where the dollar is. It's up slightly, up 0.14%. Let's go over to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is down. It's down about $2,000 where it was at this time yesterday. Back to our charts. Take a look at gold. Gold's up slightly, 0.22%. And silver is off again today. Copper is pulling back off 1.10%. Take a look at the oil pricing. They're off as well. And energy is off 1.42%. Let's go to our news. Interperfumes, Q2 earnings, 342 million versus estimate of 337. And they are taking off today. So they gapped up here and another gap up here. So they are becoming a serial gapper, up 8% this morning. GM, Q2 EPS $3.06 versus $2.71. You would think they'd be going up, but they are pulling back on that news. Must be something on the conference call. Kimberly-Clark, Q2 adjusted EPS $1.96, tops consensus, and they are pulling back as well, off over 5%. Pulte Group in the home builders, Q2 EPS $3.83 versus $3.27. They initially sell off, and they bounce off the 10-day moving average up 0.13%. Polaris shares tumble, Q2 EPS $1.38 misses consensus of $2.23. So they are off almost 3%. And on to energy, industrials, and materials, Cleveland Cliffs, Q2 EPS 11 cents versus estimate loss of 2 cents. Just going to adjust our news a little bit. And they are bouncing up 3.75%. Crown Holdings, Q2 EPS $1.81 versus $1.58, and they're skyrocketing up 8.87%. GE Aerospace is having a good day. Q2 EPS $1.20 versus 98 cents. They're pivoting into the breakout zone. Nucor Corp, Q2 EPS $2.68 versus $2.35. They're pretty much holding where they were yesterday, down 1%. Simpson Manufacturing, Q2 EPS $2.31 versus estimate of $2.44. And their shares initially sold off and they're trying to bounce back. They're down 0.59%. UPS, Q2 EPS $1.79 versus $1.99, and they are dropping big time, down a little over 13%. We're going to adjust this and we're going to move on to financials. We're into AG and C. EPS 11-cent loss versus 54-cent estimate of a profit. So they miss totally, but their stock is going up nearly 0.5% today. Alexandria Real Estate, Q2 FFO of $2.36 versus $2.34, and they're selling off, down 3%. Cadence Bank, Q2 EPS 69 cents versus 61 cents, and they are highlighting out of the pivot zone on that news, up 4.21%. Equity Lifestyle Properties, let's just pull that up here. Q2 FFO 66 cents versus 65. They didn't like that. That's selling off at 2.30%. And on to WR Berkeley. Earnings came in at 92 cents versus 92-cent estimate. Tried to move higher and they are pulling back, but it's still up 0.54%. And Zions Bancorp, Q2 EPS $1.28 versus $1.10. See if that comes up here. Here's Zions Bancorp, up 6.33% on that news. On to healthcare, MedSpace Holdings. Clear out the other one. Q2 EPS $2.75 versus $2.54. They did not like that, obviously. It's down 17%. They have a business backlog, increased 13.7%. They boost full year 24 view to $11.24, $11.93. I'm really not sure why the sell-off, but obviously it missed somewhere in there. Owens and Minor has entered into a definitive agreement to acquire Rotech Healthcare Holdings, a privately held home-based business headquartered in Orlando, Florida, for $1.36 billion in cash. Owens and Minor is moving up on that news, up 5%. On the technology, media, and telecom, Agilysys, Q1 EPS 30 cents versus estimate 26 cents. They're moving down 5.6%. Cadence Design Systems, Q2 EPS $1.28 versus consensus of $1.22. And look like they're filling the gap down below. They're off 1%. Helix, Q2 EPS 9 cents versus estimate 6 cents, initially moved up and now selling off at 6.23%. Logitech is listed here, really don't have any news, but NXP Semiconductors Q2 EPS $3.20 versus $3.21, and they're selling off strong, close to 9% off. SAP AG reported 25% jump in Q2 cloud revenue to 4.15 billion euros, and they are gapping up on that, nearly up 7%. Warner Brothers Discovery said late Thursday it had informed the National Basketball Association that it intends to use its matching rights for a package of games earmarked for another company, and they're up slightly on that, up 1%. And 6 senators are asking the Justice Department and Federal Communications Commissions to consider challenging a deal that would allow T-Mobile to use part of U.S. Cellular's wireless spectrum, according to CNBC, and moved down big time yesterday. I wonder if there's some leaking of that information, but this is down another 0.5% today. So that is a story there. Let us go and check out what is Spotify is our stock of the day. Spotify had gapped up 12.16%, 500% increase in volume. You can see the volume over here. The blue bars started showing up on Friday actually, and then yesterday was some pretty good volume, and today it's really taken off on the 184% increase in earnings. And then we got Kinexa Pharmaceuticals really rocketing up 26% on 2,000% increase in volume. Their earnings came in at 129% loss from the last quarter of last year. And still this is moving up. It's pretty interesting. Those are the only two in this sector. And see what is up 5%, 100% increase in volume. There's 39 items. We're not going to go through all of them. Alpha Omega Semiconductors is up, moving up. Earnings are for 15 days, but they're up 8% today. Some pretty good volume. Stronix is moving on up. Looks like it's getting into the profit zone here. This is a double bottom formation. Buying at the 10 cents above the middle of the W pattern here. That would be $19.45. That would be the breakout. Pulls back to the 50-day. That would have been hard to hold. And now it's breaking out again. Guess you could have bought it when it got above the 20 and just it rides this 10-day moving average into the profit zone. So that is that. Keep seeing a lot of biotech, Beam Therapeutics, had this tight little formation here, and now it is just kind of breaking out big time, up 13%. Citizens Northern, Connect One Bank. Looked at Crown Holdings in the news. And look at Danaher, up $15 today. Got a gap up. Tried to go into the pivot area, but it is pulling back a little bit. Earnings came in at a 1% increase, 1% decrease. And I guess that was a lot better than people had expected. Dime Community Bank shares. First United, GE Aerospace, which we looked at in the news. Gencor breaks out of the pivot on 6% increase in stock price. They had a nice blue bar over here. Look at all these blue bars, kind of tells you what is in the future. I looked at Inter Perfumes, Iridium Communications, gaps up 8.5%. Earnings came in at 213% increase from the previous quarter a year ago. Make My Trip, Indian company that continues to do well. Looks like it's breaking out of the pivot area. It just continues moving on up from 40. It's effectively more than doubled right now, up 6.5%. We looked at Owens and Minor. Here we got Pentair. Gapping up 8.7% on earnings of 18% increase. QXO had a big sell-off here. Volume is up 174%, and their stock is up nearly 20% on the day. SAP gapping up about 7%, earnings increase of 57%. Sentinel-1, I think they're filling the gap with CrowdStrike selling off. They gapped up yesterday, and they're up another 5% today. We got Spotify, Terex, makes capital equipment for construction and infrastructure. Look at that shoot up 6% after a huge move yesterday. Earnings aren't due for 7 days. And look at another biotech here. It is up 5% today, kind of trading in a tight pattern right here. Earnings in 8 days. Take a look at these two banks. The regional banks have been doing well. This is up nearly 6%. Earnings negative 5%. I think they're beating what people had anticipated. We got a big gap up on Zions Bancorp. And now we're just going to take a look at where the money is flowing. Financials are up slightly today. Communications, where Google and Meta are, is up slightly. Looked at energy earlier. Utilities be flat. Real estate moving up a little bit on the downturn in interest rates. Here's the home builders. They're moving on up. U.S. home construction, this ETF is moving up as well. Even though semiconductors are bouncing, it looks like this index is not. So I think did turn negative after earlier this morning. Looked like it had moved up slightly and is pulling negative. Here's infrastructure, got a nice bounce there. Jets up slightly. And travel is down slightly. Metals and mining got a little bit of bounce here. Building materials bouncing as well. So let's take a look what we're currently doing. We did add to Weatherford yesterday if we sold it on a covered call, and it's up 0.67%. Toast continues to do well. I'm just going to bring up my portfolio. It's trading pretty tight right in here. Dutch Brothers, it's pulling back a little bit. into the base. Right now, Kava was bouncing earlier today. It's up 2.5%. Our ETF in the biotech area is bouncing up 3.7%. Samsara got a nice move here. It's like a cup with a handle. Here's the handle portion, pulling back to the 50-day moving average, got support at the 50, now it's bouncing up here. Also in software, Dave continues to do well. It's trading pretty tight right in here. This looks like a handle to me. Let's see if it bounces off that like Samsara did. No, Elf Beauty really sold off. We did hold on to our $175 option, and we took off the 180 short on that. So we'll see if that can continue up or if there's another pullback to the 200-day. So we'll keep our eyes on that. ARM bouncing off of the 20-day moving average, trying to get above the 10-day. App bouncing off of the triangulation of these three lines, 20 and 50-day moving average. We have an option on app. Let's make sure we don't miss anything. The financial area, Apollo Global Management continues to do well. We bought this at 116.98 and 116. Sun is continues to pull back. This looks like a handle over here. We'll see if it gets some support. Got a little bit of a bounce in Archer Aviation today. See if it can get back above the 200-day moving average. Couple of IPOs we're testing out. Waystar Holding, it's working out okay, and SVCO, Bow. Those are the three that we're kind of looking at. One time we had lower and had a pretty strong pullback, and now it is bouncing. And it has cleared this congestion over here. And a nice little consolidation. And it is breaking out again. So that's all we're going to cover today. Hope everybody goes out there and support their favorite taco truck on Taco Tuesday. Keep working on your goals and activities, and if we can help you with anything, please shoot us a line. In the meantime, everybody have a great day and go out and continue working on your success plan.